Hey friends, today on Gardening with Creekside, it is a busy day here at the house and the nursery. Today we're going to have fun though, because behind me I have a unique stone planter that I planted up in late summer, early fall with an array of beautiful perennials that gave me evergreen structure all winter long, all early spring long, but it is time for them to come out of that container. I'm going to add them to the landscape right behind me, and then I'm going to fill the container with beautiful annuals. They're going to give me lots of gorgeous color all the way through probably my first frost. So that is what we are doing. Now, if you hear a lot of commotion behind me or within this space, it is because, like I said, never a dull moment here at Creekside Nursery. If you know, if you've been following us, you know that we are clearing land to put our chicken coop on. And so today is the day that the fellas, Josh, Roman, and Jackson, are cutting down trees and moving them out. These are the big pine trees that are leaning and crooked and can fall onto the chicken coop when we put it in. So that is going on. I will try to adjust the mic so that you don't hear a ton of noise. I will give you an update on that because they've already got a good number of trees down and it has opened up quite a lot. So as always, lots of hustle and bustle. The nursery is open. Jerry and Alyssa are down there. And so we're just gonna have fun today and we're gonna see where the day takes us. But here we go. Let me show you the container that I am talking about. This, of course, is the path going from our driveway all the way around into the patio. And the container that I'm talking about is this container right here. This is the rectangular Hummingbird planter from Unique Stone. I really love these containers. I have both the rectangle and the square. So today we're going to try to focus here so that the sun is directly behind me, as you can probably see. Hi. So we're going to be playing with the sun a little bit. But here we have a beautiful array of both. We have three different kinds of eucharis. I have got the fantastic Feather Falls grass that I just adore. We have Ascot Rainbow here that is blooming. Beautiful, perfect shade perennial. And then tucked down here in the corner is this is the pink and blue Pulmonaria. It was a gorgeous container all season long, and it still is, right? It is still a beautiful container. Love it. However, it is beginning to get a little bit root bound because my Pulmonaria is probably the most sensitive to when it gets dry, and it can dry out pretty quickly. So that is my signal that it is time to take these perennials out and incorporate them into the landscape. That is the beautiful thing about using perennials in your containers, is you're not being wasteful because you can just take them out and add them to the landscape when they are ready. When I planted this container, I knew that it was going to be a short-lived container, meaning that it was not going to last me for years. If I had put less plants in there or smaller plants in there, then yes, I probably could leave this for years. Another thing, these are all predominantly shade-loving perennials in there. And you may go, well, Jenny, it's in the full sun. What in the world, woman? Why are you putting shade plants in the full sun? Well, a couple of things. As you probably know, as a gardener, winter sun and summer sun are very different as far as their strength, right? You can go out in the winter and sit in the full sun for hours and hours and not break a sweat. You come out here for 5 seconds in July in the full sun and you're drenched. So, same thing with the perennials and the plants. They handle the winter sun beautifully. And this space gets probably 5 to 6 hours, I would say, definitely, of morning sun. And then as it goes, the sun comes over, then it is in the shade in the hot afternoon sun. So it definitely is a full sun spot, but it's very adaptable, shall we say. So that's why we're going to take these out and then incorporate them into this forest pansy bed. Just to give you an update on this space, we do call it the forest pansy bed because this is a forest pansy red bud. She is really starting to leaf out with her beautiful heart-shaped mahogany leaves. And so we are going to, as we've talked about before, the deeper you go into the bed, it's very shady. Right now it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, so it gets some morning sun. Everything here can handle it. It is on irrigation. And then as you come out more into the front, where the generous gardener is, of course, on that arch, then that is all considered full sun. So we're going to incorporate these plants in just various holes. But as we walk by the generous gardener, can we just take a moment and appreciate how gorgeous this plant is? She is covered, I mean covered in buds. It is not going to be long. I cannot wait to see her in bloom. And look at this beautiful foliage. Absolutely gorgeous. No critters have been chewing on them, which we very greatly appreciate. I use that Bare 3-in-1 rose and flower care, so she is doing great. Brenna is certainly enjoying the shade that it is giving her right now. Plus, she really doesn't like the chainsaws, so she likes to stick really close to me when she hears the chainsaws. So she's going to be by my side as per normal. And then coming on around here, I already have 2 ascot rainbows in this garden, and so I'm going to incorporate the third one in kind of the same general area so that I have a group of 3. So you can see this gorgeous clump right here, and then there's one behind the Edgeworthia. I'm thinking, I had tried, I believe, one right here and it didn't do so hot. We might go up here between these 2 peonies next to the tidbit, firelight tidbit, kind of a little bit where those anemones are right in there. So that will give me 3 there, and then we'll just plop in the eucharis and the spot on, nope, it is not spot on, it is pinkaboo, the pinkaboo pulmonaria in here as well. So what we're going to do first is I am just going to set up the camera, and I'm going to get my hori-hori, and we're going to dig out all of those plants, because I very much suspect that the roots have intertwined with one another. So that's why the hori-hori is wonderful, that I can use that serrated edge and just kind of cut those roots apart so that I have my individual plants. Then from that point, then we're going to decide where they're going to go in the landscape. My friends, so I think my predictions of it being a pot bound, root bound container were spot on, considering that I was cutting these plants out like hunks of pie, right? So the roots are completely intertwined with each other, and yeah, there is no available soil in there for any more roots to grow, and the soil is bone dry. So this is perfect timing for me to take them out because they are not under stress. Clearly they're very happy, but getting them out now, getting them into the landscape will allow their roots to grow and develop, be very happy, and get bigger. So just so we can recap, this is the ascot rainbow. This is a euphorbia, a spurge. Love this. I will trim this down. I will show you how I do it. Then we have the pinkaboo pulmonaria here in front of me. I'll probably go ahead and trim the tops of that off too, because it has already bloomed. So clean it up a little bit so it's less of the plant that it needs to support, puts more energy back into the roots, and then the foliage growth. Then we have the Feather Falls variegated sedge. Love this grass. Beautiful evergreen grass that is for the, it says part shade. It is a type of carex. You'll notice that I have my tags because when I planted this, I jammed my tags down into the pot so I can tell you exactly what the plants are, and then I'll go ahead and label these as I put them into the garden. Then we have the Dolce Wildberry Euchera. That's what this one is. Beautiful, nice, really rich, kind of a grape color. This again can do sun or shade. So here in zone 7B, North Carolina, really when it says sun, it means like these kinds of sun conditions. So I might go ahead and plop it right over here because I don't have anything of that color, and that would be beautiful, and I know it can handle the morning sun. So we'll probably put Wildberry over there. Then we have a silver gumdrop right here. Beautiful, still kind of that purple, but it has a silver overlay on the leaf. It's fantastic. This is gonna be part shade to shade. I'm gonna need to stick it a little bit deeper into the flower bed. And then last but not least, we have the new dressed up ball gown, which is that really nice limey green chartreuse color of a euchera, and that too is a part shade to shade. So I will stick it in where I need a little bit of brightness, and yeah, so have fun. So I'm going to figure out where these plants are gonna go. So you'll see me kind of in my design process, figure that out. We will use the Power Planter auger with I believe that's the 9-inch drill that is for 3 gallons, because I would consider these 3 gallons. I will biotone my holes and yeah, just bring back the native soil. We are going to come back through this flower bed and top dress with our compost pine bark fine blend. So I'm not going to add a ton of compost to this bed or these plantings, because in just like a week or two, we're going to come back in here and top dress. So they will be fine. I just have to be on the lookout for irrigation lines and lighting wires. And we're going to say a little prayer that Jenny doesn't hit either one of those. So let's put these babies in the ground. All right, my friends, so last perennial to go in the ground. I love all of the spots. I love how this flower bed is filling in. You will notice that I did go ahead and trim the blooms off of the Pinkaboo. That was really because those blooms were just those old blooms. They were done, right? So it's finished blooming. Were so heavy, it was pulling down the plant, and I just transplanted it. So I want to make that transition into this new home as easy as possible. So when you cut off any extra foliage, any blooms, that saves the plant energy so it can put energy into its roots and then just new foliage. I have the Ascot Rainbow here for you. So I wanted to show you how I'm going to prune it. It's really simple, y'all. I'm just going to come back and take the weight off. So like this bloom, and just cut it. You don't have to be super specific on where you cut it. If you want to, cut it right above where there are some leaves, but just go in there. These plants are a lot tougher and hardier than we give them credit for. And so you do not have to be super, super specific on how you cut it. Now, spurge will produce little milky sap when you cut it. It could be an irritant to some people for their skin. It does not bother me. I just wear garden gloves anyway. So just be aware of that. If you have really super sensitive skin, just wear gloves. And then once you cut, don't touch the sap, right? What I'm gonna do is, even though the ground is nice and damp and moist, I am gonna go ahead and bring the hose over and give these a little shot of water, because the plants, when I put them in, they themselves, the root balls were dry. So I'm gonna give them a little shot of water. I'm gonna clean up any residue out of the planter, gather all my supplies, and then we're gonna plant the new, well, the unique stone with the new annuals. But I just love it. It is so much fun. This is a great time to be a gardener. My peonies are about ready to bloom. Hydrangeas are looking great. The garden is looking great. So much fun. Even the sound of chainsaws is music to my ears right now, because I know that means that progress is being made for the chicken coop and the girls. So, busy, fun day here at Creekside. All right, my guys, so chainsaws are back at it again. I've got my unique stone container. It is empty. It is the, like I said, the rectangular Hummingbird from Unique Stone. I've got the bottom 1/3 of it filled up with the great compost. Today I'm using Land and Sea. You have the black gold, use the black gold. Here lately we've been using them interchangeably. It's not that we like that. I don't like Land and Sea, but I really love the black gold as well. And I know that that black gold is available, more readily available for folks across the country. And so anyway, bottom third compost, you can fill up the top rest of it with my Proven Winners potting soil, because that is the only potting soil that I use. When I'm doing a container like this that's not going to be on irrigation, meaning I'm going to be the one coming in here watering it with the hose, I don't like to fill it like all the way slap up to the top, because I want to be able to fill up with some water and let it sink down. So right now it is really full, but I'm going to be adding the plants in, so that'll help bring up the height of the soil a little bit more. And then of course we're going to come back through and top dress with the Land and Sea as well. So what we're going to do is we are going to use some pinks and whites that are going to give us height and beautiful color. I've got a fantastic sun patient here, a beautiful, nice pink. We're going to use it in the patio bed. So I thought it would be fun to incorporate plants both that we're going to use in the patio in this container. Now this sun patients, of course, they are impatiens that can get some good height to them, right? And they are going to give me gorgeous blooms all growing season long. This is going to be the height, the tallest one in this container. I'm planting two. They're going to basically grow up and grow together. So give me a nice, pretty backdrop, beautiful, soft pink blooms on it, all growing season long. Last minute addition, the Gumfrina, the Truthful of Pink. I mean, how can you not love this plant, right? It is got such fun and whimsy to it. I'm going to use this more on the sides. I've got two of them. We're going to put these on the side to give me some beautiful different structure. What I would say is, because they're very kind of a hard plant, if that makes any kind of sense, as far as like they're very linear, nice thin. You see the stalks a lot on them. And then of course there's beautiful pink and yellow flowers on the top. Technically the pink is not the flower. The flower is actually the little tiny yellow that comes from the pink. So somebody goes, well, the pink's not the bloom. Yes, I know that. But for, you know, us common folk, we'll just say that the pink has got pink and yellow flowers on it. So they're going to come here on the ends. I imagine that the impatiens are going to grow up, the Gumfrina is going to grow up, and they're going to mingle in together, which is fantastic. The Gumfrina, the Truthful of Pink, it is the annual of the year from Proven Winners. Huge pollinator attractor, especially your butterflies. The butterflies love this plant. Now, for kind of my filler and my spiller, I am going to use some Perennial. And Perennial is also known as like a wishbone flower. This is the Catalina white linen. Again, I'm using the Catalina white linen in the patio beds. I'm going to have this underplanted of my blue Rose of Sharon, my blue chiffon Rose of Sharon, and two David Austins. So this is going to be kind of the carpet underneath those three plants. So I thought it would be really fun to bring them over here. Now, the thing about this Perennial, the Catalina white linen, is it can do sun or shade. So extremely versatile. So if you're thinking, oh, well, I can't do Perennial in the sun, haha, you can if you get the right kind. So it's going to grow up. I'm only doing 2 because these can be quite vigorous plants, and so they will fill in this container really nicely. I know people are going to ask about the size of this container. I don't know the exact one. I'd have to look at it, but just roughly, I would say it's close to 12 inches deep and probably maybe 24 inches wide. So that is my planting depth as far as for this container. I am going to put the white linens relatively close to each other to begin with, so that way they'll quickly grow in. So they're going to grow in together, they're going to go out, and then they're going to spill over. If anything in here gets to be a little too vigorous, that is not a problem. You can easily come in and trim your plants. Most people, I think, are afraid to trim, but especially your annuals. I dare say I can think of any annual that I say you cannot trim. Most of them can definitely be trimmed. Oftentimes they respond really well to being trimmed, meaning that they're going to get thicker and fuller and put on more flowers. So don't be afraid to, trim, prune, cut on your annuals. They will be fine. Now, what I'm going to do is come in here with some of Proven Winners, the continuous release plant food. It is a slow release fertilizer that will, every time that you water or it rains, it will feed the plants. This is a great thing to add to your soil, so that way if you forget or you're out of town and you cannot come and do your water soluble fertilizer, then this is a great way that your plants will still get food on a regular basis. Now, the Proven Winners potting soil does have some time release fertilizer in there, but in my conditions, in my growing zone, where I am in North Carolina Zone 7B, all my years of experience of growing annuals in containers and as a grower for retail plants, you cannot over fertilize these plants with this time release fertilizer. It is not a fast acting, it is a slow release. It is released by temperature. And when you water it, these are heavy feeders. Remember, food equals flowers. If you don't feed your plants, then they're not going to be as pretty as far as the color of them, and then you're not going to get the flowers. So make sure you're feeding your plants. Now what we're going to do is grab some more of the Land and Sea. I'm going to top dress, give a nice thick top layer of the compost to this container that acts as an insulating blanket, helps regulate temperatures. So if the sun's out, it actually helps to cool the roots. And when the sun goes down or it goes away, it keeps that heat in there. So it just acts like an insulating blanket. It dresses it up, it makes it look good. And then of course, it adds that nice slow nutrition back into the soil, feeding these plants. So that's what we're going to do. Get all my stuff cleaned up, grab the hose, and get everybody watered, because it's a little toasty out here today. Not gonna lie, Jenny's glistening quite well already. Okay guys, today's project is complete. I can check this one off the list. Everything is looking really good. I will say it is quite warm. It is right here at lunchtime. And of course, you saw how much I cut into the roots on the perennials that were in the unique stone container to begin with. They're going through a little shock, which is completely understandable, right? They got their roots cut, they got put into a new spot, and so they're kind of like, what just happened? And so some of them are showing a little bit of wilt. I will need to just keep my eye on them for the next couple of days. Like you can see right here, this is the wild berry, right? Now I did water her, so some of that is just water droop, but it's okay. As soon as the sun gets off of them, they will perk up. And then we've got the silver gumdrop back there as well. But they've all been really well watered in. I am gonna come back tonight when when the golden hour, right? So that is at dusk, when the sun is really beautiful and pretty and the lighting is nice. These plants should have recovered by then. So I'm gonna come back through and just do kind of a sweep, do a little montage. So stay tuned for that at the end of this video because I will have it for you. And you can see how everything is looking together because it just looks really nice. I love all the colors and textures popping off of one another and how this space is filling in. As far as annuals go for in the landscape, I'm gonna wait until one, I get all my perennials in. If I'm gonna add any more, there may be 1 or 2 hostas that I'm gonna add, and then let all of these perennials really fill in and bulk up. Then I know where my empty holes are, and that's where I will add my annuals. But speaking of annuals, the planter came out really nice. Yes, it is thin looking right now. I am planting this for longevity. I want this to be nice and full and beautiful and have plenty of room for these plants to grow for the whole growing season. So we have the Terenia here on the front, white linen. Then we've got the Gumfrina, the Truthful of Pink on each side, and then the pink Sun Patience back there in the back. Doing really nice. Another, speaking of annuals, back here, we're going to just give you a little update on the Super Bells that we planted last week. They are loving their life in the new home of their, this is the Norwich planter. Oh, thank you, Butterfly. That was perfect timing. Good job. Your check's in the mail. So beautiful, nice, hot pink Super Bells. Clearly, butterflies love them. And then we've got the Ascot Rainbow is tucked back there as well. So everything is coming along nicely, filling in. It's great. Again, really fun in the garden today. It is a little toasty and a little warm, so I've been chugging my water, so that's a good thing. I hope you found this fun and informative. So just know that no matter what your garden space is, whether you have full shade, full sun, or everything in the same bed, just know that you can just have fun picking out plants. And this is a process, y'all, right? This flower bed has been here. We bought this tree when I was pregnant with Jackson. So that was over 13 years ago. I think it was like a 15-gallon. We planted it here. So this bed has been in the process for 13 years. This did not happen overnight. I know as gardeners, we tend to be very impatient people, but gardening will teach you patience. This did not happen overnight. So if you see this and you're just starting out on a flower bed, give yourself grace, be patient, know that you're gonna put plants in and they don't work, you're going to come out. As your bed develops, your conditions may change, right? I have tons more shade now than I ever did. So just remember, it is a process. Enjoy the process and have fun. As always, I hope you found this fun, informative, and inspirational. As always, thanks so much for growing with Creekside. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.